Welcome back to the Big Sunday Show. Now, a new warning tonight about DNA companies and your personal information. Your DNA information can be sold and weaponized against you.
In a world where justice relies on evidence, the power of DNA has become a cornerstone of modern crime solving. But what happens when the very foundation of truth begins to crumble or gets into the wrong hands?
We begin this morning with some brand new details in the Idaho college student murders. Accused killer Bryan Kohberger is a statistical match to DNA recovered from the night sheet found at the crime scene. Now that is according to some newly released court documents. A protective match
Back to the lead. Time now for the buried lead. That's what we call stories that we don't think have gotten enough attention. In this story, there was actually something literally buried. Evidence that proved a man was locked away for a quarter century for a crime he did not commit.
In newly filed court documents, his lawyers say none of the victims' DNA was found in Kohberger's apartment, home, office, or car.
Bryan Kohberger's attorney seems undoubtedly optimistic about winning this case. There are a myriad of strategies the defense can employ to attack the evidence against Kohberger. I think they have a legitimate chance in winning this case based on the evidence we acquired so far. In spite of all of the spurious reports from major news sources circulating about Kohberger, Bryan's attorney stated there's no connection between him and the victims. There's also no DNA evidence from the victims in Kohberger's apartment, his office, home, or vehicle. So how can a man knife 4 people in under 10 minutes without leaving a single strand of evidence? So, what is the connection that prosecutors claim they have on Kohberger? Police claimed a knife sheath was located underneath one of the victims' bodies with Bryan's DNA. Or was it planted?
Did he touch this? Did somebody else touch it with his DNA on their hand? Did he touch it a long time ago? Was there a mix-up in the laboratory or by the police? Did somebody plant a mix-up in the laboratory or by the police? Did somebody plant it?
Use of genealogy services led them to one of Kohberger's relatives. Services like Ancestry.com or 23andMe would fall under that umbrella. Services the affidavits say are publicly available.
They can use the databases in a similar way that I can, but I can only do it for my DNA. They can do it for your DNA.
You can actually take someone's DNA, take their medical profile, and you can target a biological weapon that will kill that person. And people will very rapidly spit into a cup and send it into 23andMe and get really interesting data about their background. And guess what? Their DNA is now owned by a private company and can be sold off. We have to have an open and public discussion about what does the protection of healthcare information, DNA information, and your data look like, because that data is actually going to be procured and collected by our adversaries for the development of these systems.
Long ago, I considered the concept of planting evidence as something that's impossible. I mean, it sounds like a movie. The main character is framed and has to go to war with everyone to clear his name. As I did some investigating, I came to the realization that we are also subjected to facing the same consequences, but in real life. Now with tree building genetic genealogy, we are officially under attack.
And back and back and back. And all those little bits of your ancestor, they filter down to make you. I need you to spit in this tube for me. You spit up to the little black line.
That's a lot of spit.
Right, the story of you is in that tube. What's it gonna tell me?
Bryan's attorney stated it appears far more like a lineup where the government was already aware of who they wanted to target. Now, if you're not familiar by what he means by what he said, I'll explain later. He also stated that another man's DNA was found on a glove outside of the home less than a week after the murders, and the DNA of 2 additional men was found inside of the house. Was this a 4-person job? or are 3 people framing one person to take the fall? Now, many people are unaware that when you choose to ship your DNA to these third-party companies with the hopes of finding your ancestors, you are agreeing to publicize your DNA to their databases, which for many of these tree-like DNA genealogy companies, police are not required to acquire a warrant to access your DNA. Police have used criminal genetic databases for decades, but sites like Ancestry, 23andMe, and others have revolutionized the industry by allowing anyone to make their genetic material public. This makes it easier for law enforcement to access our DNA, which then puts us at risk of our personal information landing in the wrong hands. Each genealogy website has amassed over 1 million plus users' DNA profiles and are continuing to attract many individuals with the hopes of connecting with their ancestors. The Palm Beach Post stated, "The safeguards that keep police from misusing criminal genetic databases aren't in place for commercial ones, which means you are volunteering to publicize your DNA into these commercial databases, and they can potentially use it as a weapon against you at any time."
Your DNA information can be sold and weaponized against you.
Christopher Slebogan, director of Vanderbilt Law School, stated that people lose all expectation of privacy over their property once they give it to a third party, including their DNA.
And you can see how long your state keeps DNA. Some states keep that DNA indefinitely. It'll be there forever.
Don't you have to ask permission, though, to do this?
That's kind of what's crazy about this is you don't have to ask permission. The state says that these diseases they're testing for are so awful and so deadly that they're going to test them without asking your permission. So whether you agree with that or not, I think what's sort of shocking is that it then gets stored also without your
Now isn't that strange? Maybe that's what Bryan's attorney was referring to when he stated the government had a target and happened to pick someone. But why would they target Mr. Kohberger? Before we get into it further, here's a message from our sponsor, Aura. Hey guys, I had no idea my personal information was so available to everyone on the internet. I mean, even my address was exposed online. Have you ever Googled yourself and been so shocked to see all of your personal information exposed on one of those public listing sites? For example, if you search your name right now on Google, you'll be surprised by what personal information is exposed. I did this with myself and found my address, my family members, and even my bank account. I started to think, hey, maybe that's why I get those 1-800 callers asking me if my car warranty expired. I felt so unsafe and vulnerable, and I started to think about ways to secure my information. That's why I'm excited to tell you about today's video sponsor, Aura. Casper, what's Aura? Aura is an identity protection service. They'll scour the internet for all of your information that is made public and delete it for you. I get emails from Aura saying, hey, somebody was looking for your name, or somebody was looking for your social security number. Would you like us to delete it? Absolutely, I would. You can try Aura free for 2 weeks using my link on the screen. Aura also does so much more to protect you and your family from online threats that you cannot see. It's super easy to set up, so you don't have to download several different apps to get things like parental controls, antivirus, VPN, password management, identity theft insurance, and many more. You get everything at one affordable price. One feature that I really love about Aura is their parental controls and safe gaming. I have younger relatives who always ask me to play a game on my phone or computer. It's simple. I'll just block certain sites that I don't want them to visit, and Aura handles the rest. Aura is also powered by AI, so it has text and voice monitoring to keep your child away from online cyberbullying, online predators, and scams 24/7. You literally have nothing to lose. All you got to do is click the link in my description below, which is aura.com/Casper West. They are going to hook you up with a 2-week free trial. Give it a shot, see if it works. Go find your personal information, check your credit report. Go and protect your family. Get this information wiped off the internet. Again, the link is in the description. Now let's get back to the video. Now, if you watched my last video regarding the corruption in the Wazoo Police Department, we know that Bryan was having intimate meetings with police before he was arrested for the Idaho student murders. There was also 2 Wazoo officers who, quote-unquote, broke the case when they happened to be the first to discover the white Hyundai Elantra. However, according to Bryan's attorney, investigators never explained how they came to identify the suspect's car as a white Hyundai Elantra. So if Wazoo has a long history of corruption, had intimate meetings with Kohberger months before he was charged, then Moscow PD allegedly botched the evidence in the initial stage of the investigation by not preserving some of the evidence, and used the DNA off of a knife sheath found at the scene to match the genetic genealogy. Did he upset someone? Was someone out to get Kohberger all along? What does that mean for us whose DNA is publicly available on third-party databases? This may be the reason the attorneys are requesting the background of a few officers on the case. It makes you think, why did the University of Idaho receive the property where the slayings occurred from the owner as a donation and are rushing to demolish it before the trial begins? Even the Idaho victim, Kaylee Gonsalves' mom, stated that she's not happy with the university deciding to tear it down, along with 2 other families of the victims. Does the University of Idaho respect the victims? If so, I think they should keep the home up for the entire trial. What do you guys think about all of this? Is the university a part of this whole agenda? I wouldn't put it past them. It's Casper West here, signing out.